Audio track 6.3.
How to structure a good story. Welcome, everyone. Today we're talking about storytelling. And by storytelling, I mean the stories that are in movies, plays, books, that kind of thing. So, let me begin by asking you a question. What makes a good story? The answer, perhaps surprisingly, is structure. How the story is organized. And today, we're going to look at the three-act structure. So, let's start with Act 1. Act 1 is the introduction to the story. In Act 1, we meet the main character, and we find out where and when the story takes place. Act 1 sets up the world of the story, and the main character's place in that world. The key is our interest in the main character. Now, that doesn't mean that we have to like the main character or think that they're nice. In movies and books, people who are nice are not always interesting. Think about one of your favorite movie characters. I'm sure they're interesting, but I doubt that they're nice. Am I right? Audiences are interested in people who have flaws and weaknesses. The point is that in Act 1, the audience needs to be interested in the main character and what happens to them. Another thing, Act 1 needs an inciting incident. The inciting incident usually comes near the end of the first act, and it's the first big turning point in the story. For example, the main character might discover a secret or do something wrong and lose status. What matters is that the inciting incident gives the main character a new goal. So, let's look in more detail at Act 2. Act 2 is usually longer than Acts 1 or 3. It's usually about half the story, and it's about conflict, conflict, conflict. The main character wants something, but there are a lot of obstacles in their way, and they have to overcome these obstacles. Basically, the conflict is between the main character and the obstacles. Now, these obstacles might be external, for example, other people or money, or they might be internal, things in the main character's mind, for example, a feeling or a belief. These obstacles often create a dilemma for the main character. Audiences like it when main characters face dilemmas. They might find a lot of obstacles that stop them reaching their goals. There might be a lot of conversations or events around overcoming the obstacles to reach those goals. So, in summary, the important thing in Act 2 is that the main character tries to overcome obstacles. Act 2 also usually has a crisis where everything goes wrong for the main character. It's that moment when you feel things can't get any worse. You know that feeling? This crisis is usually at the end of Act 2, and it's the low point for the main character. Ultimately, it's the moment when the main character has to change and grow. You see their flaws, and they have to become a better person. The crisis, then, is the second big turning point in the story. It is what pushes the main character forward into Act 3. So, finally, let's look at Act 3 and see what happens there. Act 3 contains the climax of the story. And in this part, what's essential is that the main character shows that they have changed and learned and grown. And if they haven't, the story doesn't have a happy ending. It is where the moral of the story is made clear. So, that, in brief, is the three-act structure of a story. Most of the films you watch and many of the novels you read will follow this structure, but Of course, in a really good story, you don't realize this. You are simply following the story because you enjoy it. Okay, any questions about this?